What's up, EV Clan? Alex Espion here, and welcome back to the next episode of the Pokemon Gold Randomizer Nuzlocke. In the last episode, we just went through Rock Tunnel, and now here we are at the Kanto Power Plant. A thief broke into the power plant. What is the world coming to? I know, right, man? It's crazy. They just newly renovated the place. Like, look at this place. Look at all the tiles. It looks so nice compared to what it looked like in Kanto, and now they've gone and renovated the place. It looks all nice, and a thief comes in and steals from it. Like, what the heck, guys? They make something all nice, and then someone has to come in and ruin it. Crazy. This power plant had been abandoned in the past. I know, that's what I was just talking about. We got it back up and running to provide power to the magnet train. Exclusively for that purpose, or does it power other things? I imagine it powers other things, because it's called the Kanto power plant, not like the magnet train power plant. It seems like it powers all of Kanto, but apparently this guy's really focused on, like, specifically the magnet train part. Someone made off with a part that's... oh. A JavaScript error. That's crazy. Okay, let's just ignore that. JavaScript error just popped up on my computer. I don't know what that means, but it's been popping up for the last few months. I'm not really too worried about it. Anyway, essential for the generator. Without it, the new generator is useless. Yeah, so it's just not your average crook who came in to, like, steal money or something. He stole something that's, like, integral to the power plant running correctly. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Like, if it was just a normal crook coming in and stealing from the newly renovated power plant, that would be unfortunate. But it's even worse. It's a crook who stole something essential to the power plant being able to provide power, which is kind of a power plant's main thing. So yeah, this whole place, this newly renovated place that looks all nice now, kind of pointless if it doesn't actually provide power, because it's a power plant. That's kind of something the power plants need to do. You know, provide power. The power plant's manager is up ahead. But since someone wrecked the generator, he's been both sad and furious. Yeah, I mean, I think I would be too if I was in his situation. The magnet train consumes a lot of electricity. It can't move if the new generator isn't operating. Well, yeah, I'd imagine. Typically, generators that power things need to be active for things to have power. That is how electricity works, huh? I'm ready to blast someone! Who would dare ruin my generator? Probably Team Rocket. I spent so much time on it! If I catch him, he's going to get a taste of my Zap Cannon! Your Zap Cannon or your Pokemon Zap Cannon? Because if you can use Zap Cannon, that's impressive. So, yeah, there's nothing else down here. It's an empty room, really, besides him and the generators. Are these also generators, or are these, like, little computer modules? I don't know. I don't know what these are supposed to be. Maybe it would be easier to tell if the graphics were better, but for its time, graphically this game looks very good, honestly. I marvel a lot. I may not talk about it a lot, or I may, and I just forget. That's possible, too. As I said previously, a lot. I have a very bad memory, so it's possible that I've talked about it before and I'm just forgetting. But, I don't know if I said it before, but, like, my gosh, does this game look graphically really nice for the device it was on at the time it was made. Like, can you think of other Game Boy games that look this nice? I get it's Game Boy Color, so that's like a little bit of a graphical upgrade. In general, just an upgrade of a console, right? Like, yes, it has color, and yes, I think it has a lot more space for data than, like, than a regular Game Boy. Like, it's not just the color thing, I think it just generally has, like, more storage on it as well, so it allows for, like, more detailed games than the original Game Boy. But, yeah, like, I forgot what I was even saying, hold on. But yeah, like, have you seen another Game Boy Color game that looks this good? Like, this game looks so good for what device it was. It looks so good for the device it was on and when it was made. I just got word from Cerulean. It appears that a shady character has been loitering around. Could I ask for your cooperation? Especially, like, you look at the Pokemon designs in this game, like, some of them are really detailed, and it's crazy that they were able to make those look really good, look as good as they did, on a Game Boy Color, on a device as primitive as a Game Boy Color, because, like, they look good. Like, all the designs in this game just look good, you know, all the sprites. It doesn't matter, like, the fact that they had such limited, data storage space to work with, and they were working with such a limited device. They still made them all look good. Like, there's not a single, single sprite in this game that I'd say looks bad. Like, looking back at it, I'm like, that's a terrible representation of this Pokemon. Like, they all look good. Maybe some of them look slightly different from what they were, like, in later games. More so, especially with Gen 1 than in Gen 2. But, like, all of them look good. Some of them a little different. Some of them a little different, maybe, than in future games. But all of them look good. None of the sprites look bad. Which I think is crazy, considering, like, the technological limitations they were dealing with when making this game on this device. Could I ask for your cooperation? Sure. With what exactly? Could I ask for your well, yeah, but, like, I guess. What was I supposed to do? I forgot. What am I doing? He didn't tell me what to do. I mean, maybe he did, and I just, like, didn't read it. He said something about something. This power plant has been abandoned in the past, and I just, like, sort of... I read it, I think, but I wasn't really internalizing what he was saying, because I expected there'd be, like, more dialogue. I expected I wasn't reading the important part, but apparently I was reading the important part, because I skipped over, like, actually listening to it, and, I wasn't actually listening to it, and now I'm lost. Starting off with the part... Yeah, I've read all of these people's dialogue. Nothing about them seems to have changed. Nothing with their dialogue. Is it someone over here? Power plant's manager is up ahead. Yeah, I talk to you. You say the same thing. What about you? You say anything different? Because he just kind of, like, went up to me and said something. And now he's not saying that thing anymore. Now he's saying a different thing. But I feel like that thing that he said before didn't really help me. And now he's just saying, will you cooperate with me? And he's not telling me how. So I'm very lost. See, this is what happens when you're too busy talking to pay attention to the game. Okay, so at this point, I think I'm just gonna make a cut here, and then check the footage. Okay, what he said was... Just check the recording. Just watched it back. Or at least watched back the part where he was talking. Just skipped to it and watched it back. Apparently, what he said was that, there's a suspicious character in Cerulean. So I guess we're done with the power plant for now. We'll come back there once we get the suspicious character in Cerulean, I suppose. But now, we're gonna go over to Cerulean and investigate that suspicious character, who is probably, if I was a betting man, I'd say he is probably the guy who stole, the part that we need for the generator. And then once we do that stuff in Cerulean, like catching him and getting the part back, and we return it, then we're gonna get the magnet train back up and running. And to be honest, I don't know where this Kanto story goes from there, but I mean, at least I know that much. We make lots of goodies and share them all around. They're delicious! Okay, that's very nice of you. Have I fought you yet? I'm sure that person was a trainer that I already fought, and I don't remember. I'll tell you a secret. But first, we battle. Okay. I'm down for a little stakes on this battle, sure. I win, you tell me a secret. If I lose, I should probably have to do something too, right? I mean, it's only fair. Fine. If I lose, then, I restart the game. Because that's already the conditions of a Nuzlocke, so... yeah. I mean, my lose condition is kind of... My lose consequence is kind of already set from the beginning of the series, actually. So... I don't really need to set a new one. We already have one. I beat you, you tell me a secret. You beat me, I restart the game. Seems a little bit one-sided, but I like those odds, personally. Yeah, one of those consequences is definitely a lot worse than the other, but, it's what I signed up for, so I guess that's what we're doing. Judy's gonna come in. Eugene should not Eugene. His name is just Gene. I ought to name him Pokemon Eugene. Eugene's a name, right? It's not just Mr. Krabs' name, that's like an actual name. I think I thought about Eugene, I think I thought about Eugene when I was naming Flareon, but I didn't end up naming him Eugene because, I just thought, like, I think that's the Mr. Krabs name. I don't know if that's an actual name. But upon retrospect, yeah, I can think of people who are named Eugene, actually. Like, actual people, not just Mr. Krabs. So that is definitely a real name. Yeah, we're gonna take down this Crocodile with an extreme speed. It's interesting how the extreme speed animation looks like Slash. It looks like we're cutting them with something, even though I feel like the majority of Pokemon that would be using extreme speed wouldn't have things to, like, cut with. I mean, I guess they wouldn't not have things to cut with, because Like, I think of Pokemon that use extreme speed, and I think of, like, Arceus uses extreme speed. Its, like, feet are kind of pointy. It doesn't really have feet. It just kind of has, like, legs that end in a point. So, like, Arceus uses extreme speed. It could probably cut people with the end of its, like, little leg. I shouldn't say little. It's not a very little leg. It's probably, like, the size of your average 11-year-old, which is the character you're playing as in this game. That's his age. Like, around that, at least. So, yeah. Honestly, in a Pokemon game, Arceus' leg is probably, like, as big as you. So I shouldn't say little. But, like, you know, his leg, he could probably cut someone with that. He could probably, like, make something that's, like, a cutting type of animation. I can see that. Other Pokemon you think of using extreme speed, I mean, don't think of Lucario as being a Pokemon that, like, cuts people to attack them. But he does have, like, those pointy steel things coming out of his fists, coming out of, like, his knuckle. So I guess he could slash people with those. Oh, dang! I lost that. And then you think of, like, Rayquaza also has extreme speed, and he has claws, so that's easy. Like, he could definitely cut someone. I'm sure he learns Dragon Claw. If he doesn't learn Dragon Claw, then that'd be a massive oversight on Game Freak's part, because not only is he a dragon, but he also has claws, so he should definitely learn it. I mean, if it's a dragon that doesn't have claws, then, like, maybe you shouldn't learn it. If it's something that's not a dragon but still has claws, then I think it could learn it. Like, I'm okay with it learning it. That seems fine enough. It makes more sense, at least, than a dragon that doesn't have claws using it. I think a Pokemon having claws is more important for it using Dragon Claw than it being a dragon. I'll say it. Like, I think Pokemon with claws that aren't dragons are more likely to should be more likely to have Dragon Claw than Pokemon that are dragons but don't have claws. Because, like, at least I get that they don't have the dragon part, but, like, I get that, like, Pokemon that use Dragon Claw that aren't dragon type, or, like, don't even look like dragons, don't have the dragon part, but at least they have the claw part. At least they have, like, the part of the attack. They don't have, like, the essence that the attack is infused with as, like, an essential part of them. But they at least do have the body part that they need to execute the attack. Meanwhile, a dragon without claws, like, how are they going to use Dragon Claw? I get that they have the dragon part, and certainly they can use their dragon essence in other attacks, like Dragon Breath, and Dragon Rage, and Dragon Rush, but, like, how are they going to use Dragon Claw if they got no claws? Meanwhile, I can see, like, a Pokemon that's not a dragon, but still has claws, like Haunter, for example, using Dragon Claw. Like, that doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility as much as, like, a dragon without claws using Dragon Claw, because at least they have the claws. I feel like the claws are the more important thing that you need, rather than the Dragon Aura. Other Pokemon can fake it till they make it with the Dragon Aura, at least if they have claws. They at least need to have claws, though, I feel, to use Dragon Claw. The power plant is, like, across a small river. Because, you know, like, Pokemon that are fighting type learn, like, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, even if they're not, like, Electric type, Ice type, or Fire type. So I feel like, why can't Pokemon with claws learn Dragon Claw, even if they're not Dragon type? I feel like the same principle applies here. Like, as long as they have the body part needed to execute the attack, they can also have, like, a little bit of the elemental power that goes with it to do the attack. As long as they have the claws, they can have a little bit of dragon power to imbue it with. I feel like that makes sense. I came to explore Rock Tunnel. Okay, well, I just got out of Rock Tunnel. So, you should go in. It's very nice this time of year. Give it a look. It's honestly not as bad as I thought it would be. We got through it really quick, actually, comparatively to how long I thought we'd spend in there. I still gotta get Gene out of the front. I just keep talking and talking and talking and forgetting that I need to do that. So I'm going to promise myself right now, Alex, I promise that, I'm going to get Gene out of the front. Thanks, Alex. Okay, that was a promise made to myself. And a promise made to you as well. I promise viewers that I also promise viewers that I will, switch Gene out of the front when I get out of this battle. So now I've promised 2 people, so I couldn't possibly break that promise now. Either of those promises. Because they're the same promise. If I break one, then I break the other 2. Yeah, see, there's like a cutting animation. You see that? Like, that definitely looked like a cut of some sort. And, like, so I think that, yeah, as I said, like, Rayquaza, you think of Pokemon that have extreme speed, you think of Rayquaza, Arceus, Lucario, and all those could cut. They could cut people, I guess. I don't see how Judy could cut anyone, I'll be real. Like, they don't seem to have anything pointy on their body whatsoever. They seem very rounded, like, all around them. Their body is very rounded. They don't really have nails on their fists. They have gloves, in fact, and gloves sort of, like, get in the way of nails. Do you think those are, like... This is a really dumb question. This is probably a really dumb question. Does Polyrath have gloves? Or does he just look like he has gloves? Crazier question. Let me take this a step further. Does Jinx wear a dress, or is that just, like, her skin hanging off of her body looking like a dress? I think I just made Jinx so much more disgusting, if that's the case. I don't actually want to think about that. Is that a dress? I really hope that's a dress. But, like, they're born with it. Like, you hatch a Jinx out of an egg. You do hatch a Jinx out of an egg, right? That is something that you can do in Pokemon. It doesn't always hatch a Smoochum. Does it? I mean, you definitely could in the old... Maybe actually it does. No, I think you hatch an egg made by a Jinx, it does always hatch into a Smoochum. Because I was gonna say, like, you have the incenses in Gen 4 that, like, you use to get, like, the baby versions of the Pokemon, but Smoochum wasn't introduced in Gen 4. It was introduced earlier than that. It was introduced actually in the generation where breeding became a thing. Gen 2. So, I don't see why it wouldn't... two Jinxes wouldn't make a Smoochum, now that I think about it. Because, like, Smoochum existed when two Jinxes were given the ability to make a baby. You know? It's not like, what is it, Why Not? Where Why Not was introduced in Gen 3. So, wait. No, Why Not does hatch out of an egg made by two Wobbuffets, or does it? Because I felt like the incenses to make a Pokemon hatch into, like, the baby Pokemon, I feel like the incenses used to make a Pokemon hatch into, like, a baby Pokemon, the incenses used to make a Pokemon egg hatch into, like, a baby Pokemon introduced in a later generation, I feel like that was a Gen 4 thing. I feel like you do need something, to make, an egg laid by two Wobbuffets hatch into a Why Not, though. I just don't think it's an incense, because I feel like those were the Gen 4 thing. Heck, I don't even know if those existed before Gen... Yeah, they did. They did. Never mind. Those definitely existed in Gen 3. Yeah. So I guess it could be an incense that's needed to make a Wobbuffet egg hatch into a Why Not, because incenses and Why Not were introduced in the same generation. Were introduced in the same game, even, too. Whoa! Danger, man! What's dangerous? Where's the danger? My Pokemon were hurt before even entering Rock Tunnel. I'd better take them to a Pokemon Center right away. Yeah, that does sound like a good idea. What does this sign say? Awkward way to read it from, but it works, I suppose. Route 9. Imagine if you, like, walked up to the front of the sign, and then you said, huh, nice sign, and then you walked to the side of it and then read it. Like, specifically from the side of it. Like, you walked in front of it, and then you made a separate effort to walk to the side before reading it. So you were, like, reading it from the side. Even though you were just in the front of it, and that would have been, like, so much easier to read. From, like, a head-on angle. You were on the head-on angle, you were looking straight at it, and then you went to the side. That's what I just did. That's what my character just did, because I inputted one too many directions. Sorry, two too many directions, I guess. Maybe even three too many directions, I don't know. But I inputted too many directions is the important thing. Cerulean City to Rock Tunnel. Okay, cool. Yeah, my character's really talented to be able to read signs sideways like that. Read signs from, like, the sideways angle. Like, directly to the side of it. Like, it doesn't even... It looks like from our perspective, it looks like he's looking at the back of it. And yet he's still able to read it. Like, it looks like he's reading at, like, It looks like he's looking at the posts that are, like, behind it. It looks like, from our perspective, that the sign seems to be in front of him, you know? Like, it seems to be, like, on the layer in front of him. I know there's not, like, actual layers in this game. Well, there are, actually, now that I think about it. Like, we are on the same tile, but I feel like I'm on the same tile as the sign, but I feel like the sign is, like, positioned closer to the camera than my character is, so it looks like he's just reading, like, the post behind it that's keeping it up. It doesn't look like he's actually in a position where he could read the sign, but he's just talented like that, so he can. Good morning, Alex. This is Kate. Did I wake you? Do you want to battle? I'm going to win this time. I'll be waiting for you around Route 38. look for me, okay? I will not. Bye-bye! Click. But, yeah. So, this is my second time recording this episode. Not second time recording this episode, that makes it sound like I recorded the entire thing. But, like, I did try to record this episode a first time, and then I had to restart, like, 2 minutes in. I didn't get very far. About 2 minutes in, I realized, hey, my mic is still up. Basically, I have a headset, where, like, the mic comes down. And I feel like this is how most headphones that have a mic work, is that, like, the mic is usually up, and then when you need to use a mic, you bring it down. And I didn't realize that it wasn't. You bring it, like, down towards your mouth when you need to use it, but, like, normally when you're just using the headphones as headphones, it just, like, stays up in the air. So I didn't realize that it wasn't down, and I don't think that's ever happened before, but it could have happened before, and obviously my memory's bad, so I don't remember. Hey, you! Don't litter! See, it could have happened before, and my memory's bad, so maybe I just don't remember, but I can't recall that ever happening. I feel like that's a mistake I've never made before, and I think it's crazy, honestly, that it took me that long to make that mistake. I feel really stupid now that I've made the mistake, but, looking on the bright side, looking at, like, the glass half full rather than half empty, I forgot to switch Gene out of the front. I broke my promise to myself, I broke my promise to you, the viewers, oh my gosh, I'm the worst. I'm terrible. Not only did I forget to bring my mic down in front of my mouth when I was about to record, using my mouth to make noise, but also, I dread to even say it, I broke a promise to you, the viewers, and to myself, more importantly, because I'm more important than you. I just want to make sure we get that straight. Anyway, so we're gonna attack this, quillfish now, with the cut, or strength, or fly. We have 3 options, and I can only choose one. That's the hard part. That's the hard part of this decision, is that I can only choose one. There is only one move that I can use this turn. Next turn, I can use a different move if I want. But this specific turn, I get only one option. So I better choose wisely. I'm gonna go with... Because I don't want to waste PP on the good move, is the thing. I don't know how much this thing could take, but I also want to be careful because this thing's a water type, so it could hit me with a super effective move, but also it's only level 32, so it's 17 levels below me, so am I really even that scared of that? Like, on one hand, I want to hit it with a move that I'm sure will kill, because I don't want to get hit with a super effective move, but on the other hand, it's low level, the super effective move is still probably not going to do much, even though it's super effective. So, maybe I should just, like, use a move that's, like, not so good in order to save PP on the good move, because we don't need to kill it, like, too fast? I don't know. I mean, I guess there aren't gonna be really things that are, like, higher than its level around here before we get to a Pokemon Center and get our PP re-healed. So, I guess might as well use Fly, right? Like, might as well use the good move, because it's not like we're gonna be facing anything really more threatening than this before we reach the Pokemon Center. In before they send out, like, a Blastoise next. I sure hope they don't. I sure hope I didn't just speak that into existence. It could happen. Let's hope it doesn't. Minimize, it still has that nice thing from Gen 1, where it just becomes, like, a tiny little thing when it uses it. I love that animation. So now, we may be spending 2 turns rather than 1 turn just to miss, which is the unfortunate part about Fly. If the Pokemon you're fighting is using Minimize, you're spending 2 turns just to miss, rather than 1. Because if you miss with a 1-turn move, it's like, oh, you just wasted a turn. If you miss with a 2-turn move, congratulations, you just wasted 2 turns. You're an even bigger sucker than if you were using a 1-turn move. But, yeah, I'm glad, looking at how little damage Fly is doing. I mean, it's not doing, like, a crazy little amount of damage. It's still doing half of its health, which is not, like, a little amount. Oh my gosh, we're missing so many Flies. And by so many, I think I mean 3. But it's more than 2. So that's shocking. Yeah, we're missing a lot of Flies here. Yeah, it is 3. It has been 3. 15, 14, 13. Yeah, that's 3. I sounded really dumb just then. Not being able to do basic addition. I had to count it out. 15, 14, 13. Yep, that's 3. Sure is, Alex. Gosh. Sometimes when you're recording, you're so busy thinking about what you're saying that you really don't have time to think about anything else. Anything logical. So sometimes you just say stupid things when you're a content creator. It happens. You're so busy thinking about what you're saying, you're not thinking about other things like basic math. So yeah, it's, I think, at max evasion at this point. So that's really annoying, and we continue to miss flies. We'll land one eventually. But yeah, considering how long this is taking, and how little damage Fly is doing, I'm really glad that I chose to go for Fly against this thing, and not, like, Strength or Cut, because, think about it, that would have been doing even less damage. It would have taken even longer for us to kill this thing, with how many times we're missing, and how little damage Fly is doing. But yeah, now it is at max evasion. Sorry, when I said it was at max evasion before, that was not accurate. I was assuming, you know, that makes an ass out of you and Ming, so I shouldn't have done that. Now it is at max evasion. I correct my previous, mistake of speaking. I correct my previously stated mistake. Fisher Mark is sending out a Wobbuffet now. Speak of the devil, we were just talking about Why Not before. So yeah, I think that Why Not is, who do I want to send out against Why Not? Not Why Not, Wobbuffet. Frick. Why Not is in this generation, what am I talking about? But yeah, I distinctly remember when I was trying to complete the Sword and Shield Pokédex a long time ago. I'm really scared, actually, about, like, how much damage this thing's gonna do if it counters us. So I want to heal back up to full health before I hit this thing. Just to make sure I reduce the odds of dying to a counter as much as I can. Do we have any, like, low, like, not very good healing? Because I wouldn't want to waste a Hyper Potion healing only, what? 36 health. Yeah, I wouldn't want to waste a Hyper Potion healing only 36 health. So if we have worse healing, that'd be great. No? Just the high-quality stuff? Okay. I mean, I guess we could use a Max Potion, but those actually cost more than a Hyper Potion, so... yeah, we'll use the Hyper Potion. Not on Stacy. Stacy's at full health. Not on Judy either. That was stupid. Why did I do that? I'm dumb. I just saw the Pokemon with the lowest health, and I assumed that was the Pokemon I had out, even though, Judy obviously got beat up more because they've been in more battles since our last trip to the Pokemon Center. I'm dumb. Anyway. Yeah, I feel like I distinctly remember in Sword and Shield... okay, Destiny Bond. I simply will not kill you next turn. I'm very confident in it. Cut. So, how much is this cut gonna do? Hopefully not all its health. Yeah, that's fine. A counter is gonna hurt, possibly. Just gotta watch the health go down and hope that it doesn't go down all the way. Okay, that is not all the way. That's great. So what's really scary about Cut, actually, now that I think about it, is that it is a high critical hit ratio. So I could go for Destiny Bond, and I may think I'm safe. I may think that I'm not gonna kill it, so I won't die. But it may get a crit, so I may kill it anyway. So I want to go for Strength instead, because I know that does more damage. It's going to do more damage to Wobbuffet, so it's going to do more damage for me when he counters it back. But, oh gosh, wait, I might die if he uses a counter. Luckily, he just didn't. That's great. So, I outspeed him, right? I just go for the cut here and finish him off. Certainly. Yeah, he's dead. Okay, well, frick. Counter? We're fine. Okay. We're just gonna go for a cut here. And there we go. Wobbuffet's dead. No casualties. That's great. It's always great when you can get through a fight with a Wobbuffet in a Nuzlocke with no casualties, because that is one of those Pokemon that is very threatening. You put that up there with the legendaries in terms of how threatening it is. And speaking of legendaries, here's a Mewtwo. Well, I've seen so many of these in my Nuzlocke career at this point. They're not that scary anymore. I know how to deal with them by this point. And the answer is really just like how you deal with any other Pokemon. You just have to be, aware of how much damage it could do, and take that into account. You don't underestimate the amount of damage it can do. That's something that's very important with a Mewtwo. I think we live one. I think we live one thing. From a level 29 Mewtwo, I think we live one Psychic. And I think that is being generous. Do we live a crit? Probably that too. Yeah. I would say so. I wouldn't put a high amount of money on it if I was betting on it, but, I do think we live, crit Psychic from this thing. It has Confusion. Okay. I don't know if it has Psychic at this point, at this level, in this game. It might have... I feel like... well, obviously, during, Gen 1, during the Pokemon Red randomizer, we did run into Mewtwo's that were using Psychic. And that was obviously before we beat the game, because we didn't do post-game in Gen 1, because there wasn't really post-game in Gen 1. There's no real post-game in Red and Blue, besides just getting Mewtwo. And it's like, why would I need to get Mewtwo in the Pokemon Red Nuzlocke? Like, the Nuzlocke's already over. But in this, the Nuzlocke instead extends to post-game, because Gen 2 is really the only game where, like, the post-game is super massive and cool and interesting. So that it's... Gen 2 is only the Gen 2 games are really the only games where, the Nuzlocke includes the post-game. So yeah, like, in the Gen 1 games, in, the Pokemon Red randomizer, we ran into Mewtwo's that had Psychic, and we obviously had not beaten the game yet. Now we've beaten the game, so if Mewtwo's had Psychic before we beat the game in the Pokemon Red randomizer, it stands to reason that Mewtwo's later in the game, after we've already beaten the game, in the Pokemon Gold randomizer, would have Psychic. Because, like, the ones in Pokemon Red that we encountered during the game, did. So why would the ones that we encounter in Pokemon Gold after the game not? But then again, in the Johto games, the levels make no sense. So it's possible that, like, that Mewtwo that we just encountered was lower level than the Mewtwo's we encountered in, Pokemon Red, in the Pokemon Red randomizer, that, had Psychic. But I do seem to remember a Mewtwo in, like, pretty early on in the game having Psychic. So I think that the learn set is just different. Either that, or that Mewtwo had Psychic, and he was a dummy, so he just didn't use it. I was just pointing out. I don't know what you were pointing out, sir, but, whatever you were pointing out, sorry. I spent so long in that battle that I forgot what your first piece of dialogue was, so I've completely forgotten what you were pointing out. Sorry, you weren't littering. It was my mistake. His first dialogue box was about littering? I did not notice that. So I think this is our encounter for this route, because I don't think we've got an encounter on this route yet. So, here's Kabutops. I think this is a new route and/or area from, where was our last encounter? In front of the power plant? Yeah. I think outside the power plant versus here is a different encounter. So we'll catch something up here. Or maybe... Hold on. Let me check the previous episode. Okay, so I just looked at the last episode. We did not, in fact, the Onyx we got at the end of the last episode was, down in front of the power plant, yeah. I keep forgetting to switch Gene out of the front. I'm so silly. I'm such a silly goose. Who do we switch to? Who could weaken this thing? The answer is nobody. However, who could... I do feel like the answer is nobody, honestly. Stacy, maybe? Let's try Stacy. But yeah, I feel like when I was back in the day when I was completing the I say back in the day like it was a really long time ago. It was a decent while ago, but back in the day I feel is a little bit extreme. But like when I was trying to complete the Pokemon Sword and Shield Pokedex. Oh yeah, that's great. Okay. That does very minimal amounts of damage. I would expect nothing less from an Ariados using Poison Sting. Poison Sting being a move world-renowned for how bad it is. Hopefully it doesn't poison. This is the one time I want Poison Sting not to poison. Oh gosh, critical hit. We're fine though. Kabutops hangs on. This could be the return of Olivia, guys, from like the past series. Not like, you know, the first Olivia. There were a lot of them. There were a lot of Olivias in the Pokemon Red Randomizer. I'm talking about, like, the first one. I think that was the first one, right? First starter in that game was Kabutops. I probably know better than you. Why am I asking you? First of all, I probably know better than you, so why am I asking you? Second, you can't answer, so why am I asking you? I mean, you could answer. You could scream at your screen right now. It doesn't matter how loud you scream, though. I won't hear it. So, I guess... I don't really have a way of lowering it down any further, besides just, like... we're, like, running out of Pokeballs here. Okay, I'll just use the level ball and hope it catches. It'll catch, right? It's level 15, I'm level 49. Level ball catches here. If it doesn't catch here, then I simply don't know what to do. Because I'm not using a Master Ball on this thing. There we go! Okay, it caught. Great. See, in Pokemon Sword and Shield, actually, when you think about it, all Pokeballs are kind of a level ball. Because... like, the catch rate of things is very much determined in Sword and Shield by your level in proportion to it. like, a Pokeball could catch... A Pokeball will always critical capture, like... A regular Pokeball will always capture, like, a regular Pokeball will always critical capture something that's, like, level 10, if you're level 100. If the Pokemon you have out is level 100. It's crazy. It's crazy how... Just how much, it's crazy just how heavily it is a determining factor. Your level in proportion to the Pokemon's level that you're catching. It's crazy how much of a determining factor it is, your level in proportion to the level of the Pokemon you're catching when you're catching a Pokemon. It's crazy how much of a determining factor that is for if the Pokemon will get caught or not. In the water, it tucks in its limbs to become more compact, then it wiggles its shell to swim fast. Oh wow! Wait, Kabutops is like a horseshoe crab. I just noticed that, right now. That's crazy. That's crazy that it took me that long. But yeah, Kabuto is a horseshoe crab, and then Kabutops is like a horseshoe crab that's more horseshoe crab shaped, but it has legs and stuff. It has like legs and blades under it. I was already kind of scared of horseshoe crabs. They're freaky little things. I don't like the way they look. Now I'm even more scared of horseshoe crabs, knowing that like it could just stand up and look like a Kabutops and have like blades for hands and spikes on its back, and oh my gosh, that's terrifying. Now I'm picturing the horseshoe crab standing up, and it's really scary. Give a nickname to Kabutops. Okay. So this is a male, Alex. Keep that in mind. Do keep that in mind as we come up with a name. I'm gonna look through my list of possible names for Pokemon in this series, but I don't think we have any boys' names left. Only what we do. I do not think I've named anything Miles yet. Or maybe I have, and I just don't remember. Well, regardless, I'm going to name something Miles right now, and just hope that I haven't named something Miles yet. I sure hope that the Onix I caught in the last episode, because I don't know if I'm updating this list, like, in terms of, like, what names I've used. I don't know if I'm updating this list in terms of names I've used after every Pokemon that I catch. So it may not have been updated after I caught the Onix. Maybe the Onix was named Miles. I don't really know. I feel like I had used up all the boys' names on the list. So I'm tempted to say that Miles has been used up and I just didn't cross it off yet. But I'm gonna call it Miles, and then I'll check my PC later if I remember, which is a big if because I just forgot to take Gene out of the front again. But if I do remember to check my PC later and see if I have a Pokemon named Miles yet, then I will. Because if I do, then I will go and change that Pokemon's name along with the name of, I believe, was it the Onix that oh wait, actually I think the Onix I might have named something that didn't align with its gender. Or did I do that with the Granbull? Actually, I think that was the Granbull. It could have been either one. I don't quite remember, but I know it was one of them. I'm highly confident it was one of them. I'm like 90% sure it was one of them. People shouldn't leave any litter behind. I agree, littering is pretty bad. You and that boy up there are both all about litter. That's great. That's good. That's good on you. For ridiculing people, not ridicule. Just like what's a nice way of saying like being I want to find the word for this that's like that doesn't make them sound mean. Because ridicule makes them sound mean. Even if people who litter are like, they shouldn't do that, it still feels mean to ridicule them. Yeah. Good on you for telling off people who litter. That's what I meant to say. Not ridicule. Ridicule's a little strong. I mean, I would probably ridicule someone who litters. You know, if I knew what ridicule means. But, like, I don't know exactly what ridicule means. I don't know the exact definition, but it sounds really mean. So I'm tempted to say it's really mean. But yeah, I remember, and I've started this thought like 15 times at this point, but I promise I'll finish it this time, maybe. I promise I'll maybe finish it. I feel like I do remember when I was trying to complete the Pokemon Sword and Shield Pokedex, which was quite a while ago at this point, but I do still remember, I think quite vividly. I wouldn't say vividly. I remember... It is a memory that I have, despite how long it's been. It is definitely a memory that I still have. I still remember in the back of my mind that hatching, like looking for a wine. I needed a wine out for the Pokedex, so I breeded 2 Wobbuffet, and then Wobbuffet came out of the egg, and I'm like, wait, 2 Wobbuffets make a Wobbuffet when they lay an egg? Then how do you get why not? Because I remember looking up like why not in like on like Pokemon database, and it said like for how to breed Wobbuffet, how to get Wobbuffet, it said for how to get Wynot in Pokemon Sword and Shield, breed Wobbuffet, right? And so I breeded Wobbuffet, and then I'm like, because that seemed to be the only method that was listed on Pokemon Database, and so I'm like, okay, it's really weird that you can only get them through breeding Wobbuffet in this game, but sure, I'll do it. And then I breeded the Wobbuffet, and then it spit out another Wobbuffet, and I was like, what? I remember being like, what? So then I'm like, the only method that works for getting a Wynot, the only way you can get a Wynot in this game, doesn't work. So how do you get a Wynot in this game? How the heck do you get a Wynot? Because the only method for getting a Wynot, the only location listed for a Wynot in Pokemon Sword and Shield, on Pokemon Database, is breed Wobbuffet. And I breeded Wobbuffet, and it didn't make a Wynot. So what the heck do I do now? And so I remember looking it up, being like, what is going on here? What the heck do I do? And then I remember there was an item that I needed to use to make the Wobbuffet create a Wynot egg, and not another Wobbuffet egg. Oh, I lost. But so yeah, I do remember that. I do definitely remember that in the back of my head. I'm certain that is something I had to do. Give it an item. Give the Wobbuffets an item in order to make them lay an egg that produced a Wynot rather than a Wobbuffet. Because I'm sure I remember the confusion that I felt. I'm sure I remember feeling great confusion when the egg laid by two Wobbuffets produced a Wobbuffet and not a Wynot. Because I was like, did a full-grown Pokemon, a fully evolved Pokemon, just hatch out of this egg? The answer is yes. But that's only because, it was the first Pokemon in the evolution line when breeding was introduced. And then they needed to introduce an item later to make it that you could, not exclusively for that purpose, I'm sure, but they needed to include an item later. They needed to introduce an item later that, not exclusively for that purpose, but they needed to introduce an item later, that made it so, when you gave it to a Wobbuffet, they produced an egg that produced a Wynot rather than another Wobbuffet. The Cape in the North is a good place for dates. Girls like it. Okay. I mean, if you're sure, I'd be more likely to believe that if I heard it from a girl. But hey, maybe this guy just knows all about the ladies. You never know. There's a notice here. Stamp out thievery and make the city a friendlier, more cheerful place. Cerulean Police. Oh, Cerulean Police! You know, that's those people who did absolutely nothing when those people got robbed before, and a Diglett dug through their house. Dug. Sorry, not a Diglett. Team Rocket used Dig to dig through their wall. I just saw a Diglett and said Diglett. We were held up by robbers before. Oh, they're the police! I was thinking that. I was kind of thinking that, honestly. But, I was kind of thinking that, honestly, when I came in here, but I didn't want to, like, jump to conclusions, because you know what they say about assuming, it makes an ass out of you and me. But, yeah, I didn't want to make an assumption, so I didn't say it, but I was kind of thinking that when I walked in and saw the Diglett. I'm like, are these the people who had the Dig TM stolen from them? Because a Diglett would use Dig. It would make sense why they have a Diglett, why they have a Dig TM if they have a Diglett. But yeah, I was just saying, like, the police did nothing when Team Rocket stole the Dig TM and dug right through those people's walls. So, it makes sense now they created a new police station. They're creating a new police force, I guess, because the old one was defective because they just let Team Rocket get away with it, and an 11-year-old child had to get back the Dig TM. And then once he did, he didn't even give it back to the owners! So really, now that child is the thief. That child is a new thief, because he stole from the thief and didn't give it back. Pokemon... Red is actually the culprit that you're looking for. If you're still looking for your Dig TM, Red took it. Go find him. He's on Mount Silver. Go get him. Book him. We were held up by robbers before. Was that it? Yeah, we were held up by robbers before. I heard that some shady character is skulking about. I won't stand for it if he turns out to be a thief. So, like... does the whole police force operate out of this, like, small, relatively normal-looking house? Where are the prison cells? I thought this was the police department. I don't see anything that would indicate that this is a police building at all. It just seems like a normal residential home. Diglett also seems to be very adamant that this is not a police department because he's desperately shaking his head like he needs to get out of here. Doug. I think I already read that, but I read it again. Deal with it. Yeah, it did say police department, right? I wasn't imagining it. There's a notice here. Stamp out thievery and make the city a friendlier, more cheerful place. Cerulean Police. Yeah, the police operate out of this seemingly normal-looking residential home. Where are the prison cells? Dang it! The new police force, the new police force is just as defective as the old one. Gosh darn it, man! You uproot a defective police force, and then you replace it with another defective police force. What are we doing? Can this town never have a police force that works? That does something? Are you collecting Kanto gym badges? Yeah. Actually, I collect all the Johto ones, so now I'm on to the Kanto ones. So yeah, I finished the Why Not Wobbuffet thought. I'm sure I started other thoughts that I haven't finished yet in this episode, but I forgot about the other thoughts that I started, but did not finish. Because I'm sure there were thoughts that I started but did not finish, but I forgot about them if I had them. So, yeah. I forgot about them. I forgot about them if they exist. So, I guess forget about them even more and just end off the episode here, because I've finished all the thoughts that I started that I can remember. I finished all the thoughts that I can remember I started. That's a better way of phrasing it. So I'll just finish reading this guy's dialogue, and by that I mean read this guy's dialogue because I didn't start reading it yet, and then I'll end off the episode after that. The Cape in the North is a good place for dates. Girls like it. Oh yeah, I already read that guy's dialogue. Never mind. So that's not new dialogue. I guess I'll just go up here, and then I'll end off the episode because we still need to go see. I saw a guy here in this corner of the town that I'm sure has something very intriguing to say. So if you want to see what that guy says, find out in the next episode. So thank you all so much for watching EV Claim. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. This is Alex Espion, signing off.